Hallo, guten Abend. Ich freue mich, dass Sie alle hier sind und wir wechseln jetzt gleich in Englisch. Wir sprechen aber so ein einfaches Englisch, dass es, glaube ich, niemand verschrecken muss. Hello, Thierry. Welcome. I'm very happy to be able to meet you here today in the evening to learn something more about your work. And welcome, everybody. I'm very happy about this possibility to introduce a bit more into that, what you are doing. We have prepared a little film so that the techniques don't trick us today in the evening. But during the film, you have the possibility to write all your questions into the chat. We will try to answer this later. But in the beginning, Thierry, I would like to ask you something about your last project. I know that you had a big exhibition in Villa Stuck in Munich and you just work on a book. So yeah. Maybe you like to tell about this, maybe 5 minutes, because our film is not so short as we had hoped, about what you are doing just now.
Now I had an exhibition in Villa Stuck in Munich last September, and it was called the Awareness Training Muscle Training Center. It was a 3-floor exhibition. The idea was to train the awareness muscle of the people, so the participants. So if people are a bit asleep, the idea is to wake up the audience. So the downstairs was a fitness center, and then he had 3 floors and 7 rooms. So it was a parkour, and at the end of the parkour, the idea was to, if people could basically get their energy up and start to act. So let's say downstairs was a fitness center where people will train their awareness through exercise and interviews. And then at the middle floor was a gallery exhibiting every day about the now. And upstairs was the energy room, where it was a lot of a round room with a lot of critical runs, where we ask the audience to organize themselves critical runs everywhere. So the idea was to, instead of having an audience that thinks it's a nice experience, we will have an audience that will be asked to do something the day after. Or so we will get the energy will be reinvest in doing something. This was quite successful because somehow some people change in about 40 minutes. So some people had a kind of a moment where something went through. They have a twist.
Yeah, where this muscle is sitting on my body, is it her, or is it her, or is it her, or?
No, I mean it's sitting here, but it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor muscle. So this muscle doesn't exist, but it's like the memory. You can train it every day. And if you train it every day, like the memory, it grows. So this is this kind of muscle. I use a lot of these medical terms like emergency room awareness muscle. So it's very normal for me to do this vocabulary. So and then this went very well because some people basically change. I think the exhibition succeed in changing people. So it was September. Now we do the book. So the book at the moment is going to be a retrospective. So it's going to be 600 page. So we are now developing a monography, it's called. But the idea of this monography or retrospective is to also make a proposition. So at the end, this book should be a new kind of manifest. So I don't see the book as a grave at the end, but this book should be a new manifesto, a proposition for the future for institution, but also for artists and maybe some political statement as well. And the book should also somehow see all the failure, because I've been working for 40 years. And then I can see that somehow there is many failures, many things that were not successful. So the book should also see not only, let's say, hallelujah, everything is perfect, but also go into the failure, because we can see that I've been working with emergency art the last 30 years, and the situation get worse and worse. So it must be not working so well, because I mean, for example, in Denmark, the situation is not going so nice. So,
but the word manifest is a good word to find a bridge to our film, yes. And I think after the film, people will understand a bit more what what is a critical run and things like this. So please let me start the film now. And
I start. This manifest you see here, it's from 1989. It's the manifest called The Moving Exhibition. This manifest was done more than 40 years ago, 30 years ago. And then he explains the different type of moving exhibition. What is interesting with this manifest is that it explains what I've been doing since the beginning. It explains what I'm doing now. And he also tells what I'm going to do in the future. I was so lucky to make a manifest that can fit everything from before to the future. This manifest has 5 types of exhibition, and we are going to start with the first one, which is called the moving exhibition, the type bourgeoise. There is 5 types. It's called moving exhibition because the exhibition is it's about mobility, to be mobile in the street, in the exhibition space, to be mobile, to be moving. But the exhibition is also mobile, like a slideshow. So if I get a space, I don't keep the exhibition the same. The exhibition change with my mood, with the context, with the political context, with the life of other people. Things interfere all the time in the exhibition. So the exhibition is alive and it breathes. The exhibition is not dead. This exhibition is like a heart. It beats all the time. So it's not only moving in the space, but moving also in its content. The moving exhibition bourgeoise, I'm going to start. It's basically the self-portrait. The self-portrait, it's when you do art in a very safe place. When the artist is alone, when the artist doesn't have interaction with the outside world, when the artist is his own world. So at the age of 13, I was doing this self-portrait alone in my room. So I could play. I didn't have nobody to watch me. I had a tripod and a retardateur, a system, machines that you click after 10 seconds.
Okay.
I will do self-portrait, me against me. So I play 2 roles. I'm on the right and I am on the left. And I swap, and then I can make this happen because in the dark room, I had a dark room when I was 13, I could print and make this collage in one picture. So it's not a collage with a tape, it's a collage in the laboratory, in the dark room. Me against me, it's something that everybody has, every young boys or young girls have. It's this kind of double personality, which makes me also do this. For example, I am the prisoner and I'm also the guy taking the prisoner. So I can be both roles. It's a kind of a game of identity, who I am, but basically I'm both person all the time. It's self-portrait. Self-portrait was very interesting also because my father was in the army, so I had an army museum, so I could play different roles. Here I am the a soldier that as victory gives water to his friend. He makes strategies on the top of a tank, so it's from the same period. Here I get shot. I didn't know Robert Capa then. I didn't know the history of photography, but I could play like somebody shot me.
Thierry, may I ask, are you born in Algeria or you grew up in Algeria? How long?
No, I was only 1 year in Algeria.
Okay.
I'm born in France. I was only 1 year.
In the early beginning of your life?
Yeah, very baby.
Okay.
Poor baby. Here I'm in France, in Nancy, Lotringen. Here I get shot, and I play that I get shot. It's stage photography. It's not a real. I don't really get shot. I didn't know Cindy Sherman then. I didn't know Robert de Capa, but I play all this role of a small boy. I'm not a young girl, but a small boy. So I play all these different roles. This is my army museum because I was owning an army museum on the floor where I was living in the stairs. I had a collection of different things, medal, flags, uniforms. So I was the owner of a museum when I was 13. But I was not only playing the military guy, I will also play the more feminine part of me, the more my mother's side. So the first ones, they were more my father's side. Downstairs, I will play more my mother's side. So I will be a flower lover with a nice shirt. I will play badminton in the garden with a nice light. Same way, I will take a picture with a tripod and a retardateur. I insist on this name retardateur because I'm interested in the word retard. It's this mechanic that takes a picture 10 seconds later. Mm-hmm. I will play also, this is very important now, I will play sport, and also what was important is to take the picture at the exact moment where I smash. So I could make a self-portrait and then get myself to smash the ball at the right moment. So how can you make a self-portrait? It's not Cartier-Bresson. I didn't know Cartier-Bresson, the decisive moment, because the decisive moment might not be about self-portrait. The decisive moment might happen in the street, taking other people, but was a self-portrait. It was to catch the now at the right moment, being a tennis player. Later on, so now we jump of 30 years. I mean, I done this self-portrait all my career, all my life, from I was 13 till now. But it has been a small change. So now I go to the very now, instead of doing photographic portrait, which means with a photo camera, I do them with a video camera. So I call this, it was a web channel I was doing, TV selfie, selfie TV, are you selfish? So I will interview all kinds of people and record at the same time with this cameras that has a very wide angle. And I will interview all kinds of people that interest me. Here we are in New York, I interview the army. And then I will post this film on the internet. I do all kinds of films. This is the Danish Prime Minister and the coming Prime Minister. So I will go to the parliament, interview politicians and film with a camera on my phone. And this will be a kind of selfie, but including sound. So it's further than the photographic selfie, become a video selfie. Here is another one where I do selfie with the artist here, and the artist does a video selfie of me, and then we have a conversation.
It's Jonas Mikkels, and you met him in Kassel?
Yes, yes, it's true. It's in Kassel at the Documenta. We are debating about the if he knew the existence of the weapon industry in Kassel, and then we did both a film of ourselves talking to each other. And you can see 30 years later, or no more, 50 years later, I still wear a helmet. This one is blue. This is not photography, but it's almost photography. It's also self-portrait, but it's what you do now with when you scan yourself. So instead of running behind a camera and take self-portrait, then you do it, you scan yourself and you become a three-dimension object. And the character of the photograph appear here. So here I mix all the character, the photograph, the blue helmet investigating, and the kind of Inspector Colombo with the raincoat. But this is a sculpture. This is very most recent. But what I want to show, it's also that in a career of an artist, and it's what I call l'œuvre, there is some repetition. So this kind of staging myself, basically is a technique change from black and white, own printing things, it become sculptural printing. The technique changed, but basically some things stay the same.
Mm-hmm. You start as a photographer, yes? Your career starts as a photographer. Yes. Then in the late 80s as a travel photographer, is that right?
I mean, I will say it started when I did the self-portrait when I was 13.
Yes, okay.
I was also selling pictures. I was taking pictures of the teacher and selling them and selling. So I had a small business being a photographer, family photographer.
Okay.
But then I start traveling, and then by traveling, I had a lot of motive to see, and then my interest for photography came back. But I saw that photography cost a lot of money, so it was more important for me to travel more. Traveling was more important for me than to take pictures somehow. because I was thinking it will be more important to have more days or more months or more weeks of traveling than to use money and consume money to take photo, because photography, it's an expensive sport or expensive art. In the old day, you had to buy slides, proceed them, print them. So it was more important for me to travel and gain experience than to take pictures. So this guy is thinking, is playing all kind of roles. Now we are going to go to another type of moving exhibition. We are still in the manifest from '89, the moving exhibition. Now the moving exhibition is Vagabond. It's what people now will call art in public space. Art in public space is when you are not in the comfortable zone of your studio, you are not in the museum, but you might be in the street, or internet also is a public space. So here I'm in the street of Paris, where we are in 1988. And my exhibition, basically, I carry it with, on me. So I have three kind of things here. I have some nice print. They were called Cibachrome of color photography in a frame. Then I have a A4 paper with a picture of me kissing my wife. It's a self-portrait. And then I have a sound work in this tape recorder. And then I will go around the street of Paris or Copenhagen or wherever I was to make my exhibition publicly. This is Vagabond. Later came more sophisticated. In '91, I start to make Imperméable. Imperméable, it's a French name for raincoat. Imperméable means also waterproof. So an imperméable, it's something that cannot be, you cannot go, the water cannot go inside. I could print things on the outside of the imperméable, but I could also print things inside or in the pocket everywhere. So I will consider that space like a total space. It was an exhibition space, like a gallery or museum, with an inside and outside, some place to hide, some place to close, corridors. So I will make a special exhibition for all my codes. This code is about using newspaper and announcement. So you can see, for example, here it's the Duchamp fontaine, the pissoir, urinoir, which is on sale in a magazine for selling objects. So I will play with ready-made, and the other one is the definition of conclusionism.
It was a kind of announcement newspaper.
Yeah, it was an announcement where you sell something. Okay. So I wanted to place back the Duchamp ready-made in a kind of normal object. Okay. Some of my colleagues will make golden pissoir, or they will make them, elevate them to very expensive artwork. My idea was to bring the Duchamp to a very normal object, like among other objects. So I will print them on the coat, and then when I'm in the metro or everywhere, people can see what I exhibit. But I will also exhibit things inside or outside. I will also use these codes, for example, in my TV program. And every time I have a new program, I will have a new code. So you can see I have always a raincoat. Here I'm the blind man in the street of Copenhagen. Here I'm a bride that wants that will soon be a bride. So it's just before she's a bride. She's still a virgin, so I play that.
And it's also in relation to Duchamp?
Yeah, it's a please touch of Duchamp. Yeah, so I play the undressing of the bride by the 9 bachelors. So let's say my game was to have art and TV and insert as much as possible a layer. So I had a Duchamp layer. I had a series of, I wanted the public space as a public space was my raincoat of my impermeable, but television was also a public space. So I wanted to do art, not only in the street by walking, but also to be inside the television channel, do my art. So I play different characters. Here I'm playing one, a French tourist in Denmark. They were broadcast on national TV. And then I will insert different aspects. So I had the list of things. I try to insert the Duchamp homage into the TV program. So it's what I call Duchamp entertaining Duchamp. So here I play the role of a bride looking for bachelors in the street. So I will go out with a please touch. It's also a Duchamp project. and then get kissed by nine women. So it's a 9 bachelors. Here I exhibit on different ways. I have these pink things, which is a kind of retrospective. You can see there is text and there is 6-7 pictures, but I am also wearing coat, and also because it's a television program, I'm doing a narrative, and then I also have control on the people that subtitle. So that's the different usage of the coat. It's also an homage to Duchamp with a wooden door. This symbolizes the coat is the exhibitionist, and I'm looking in a hall through a wooden door to see what people do inside. So it's very much about this voyeurism, exhibitionism. Here I am the pink German helmet from the Second World War, asking how can I be invisible to the oculist witness. I have a coat as well. And then, for example, here, does this work if I play sound?
Excuse me, can you see me? Excuse me, do you see me? Do you see me? Can you see me? Do you see me? Do you see me? Excuse me, do you see me? Strange. The more I was doing efforts to be visible, the more people were avoiding me. How could I have become that invisible to the oculist? A bit worried about my...
So it was one film. So like the impermeable, like the coat, I had a way to go in the public space, because television is a public space. It's a space where everybody can be more or less. So it's not like the museum that basically it's a certain public.
So can I ask, the coat is a kind of symbol for the borders between private, public, and things like this?
Yes, okay. Exactly. I mean, the coat have different territories. So you have an inside, and also, you know, people that open their coat, they are called exhibitionists as well. So let's say the public is what everybody can see. You can print on your body, on your coat, but inside you have your private things. So the coat is closed. So I will exhibit inside my clothes, my coat, but also I will exhibit in the arm. So for example, you can look from inside to outside. I was very interested in Daniel Buren's and the idea of space, what is inside. And also, when you close the coat, you have a border, because you can close the coat, but this limit between the opening and the closing, it's a border. So I will print artworks in between. The pocket is where you hide things. So I will hide artworks. So I will do an exhibition in the pocket. So the whole coat will be used as a space.
Is there any relation, sorry if I ask you, but is there any relation to Bachelard's book about the poetic of space?
I didn't know this book, no.
Okay, thanks.
I was more in Buren, thinking from the outside to the outside. When you are in Pompidou Center, you look in the museum and you look the flags outside. So I was very much into these space things. And also it was a way for me to own my own, to have my own museum. So every story will be different. So a coat, for example, the one, somebody is looking at my coat now, and is looking from the inside to the outside. As you can see, the person kind of habitates the coat and can have a view. And there is an artwork in the leaves here. Every coat will be an exhibition. So, for example, this was about the definition of the coat. So I printed the definition of the coat. Another one will be about media. Another one will be about money. Every coat was a single exhibition. So, because of the private and public, not everyone can have access to my privacy. So I will make a system where only people with a visa could access the inside of my coat. So the people you can see, it's my room. It was an exhibition in Scotland, in the Borough Photophage. The people in my room are owner of a visa. It's like now you need a Corona pass if you want to go somewhere. If you want to travel, you have to show a Corona pass. These people had to make a test and answer some question, and then I will give them a visa so they could go in my room, and they could also go in my suitcase, and they could also see the inside of my coats. That way, I want to say that I don't show the same things to everybody. Mm-hmm. You do a different art. If it's for the public, every kind of people can see what you do. You do less political things because you can have a lot of enemies out there. You do less private things because people are jealous. They can use the things against you. So you don't show the same things to everybody than to a limited audience. So I wanted really to have two kinds of art and give more to the people that I trust. So basically, it was about trusting or not. I don't know, maybe 80 people made some visa for all the show.
I think it's the exhibition where we met first time. Yes,
exactly. We are now in the booth. We met exactly here.
Yes.
You were part of a VIP photo director, and then I was an artist, and I could work together with the curator, and then I could be part of the tours and stuff. And then this is the official visit where all the curators are visiting the space, my installation in this room. And some had to stay outside, and some could go in the room. So here you can see there is in my small book there is a definition of the codes. So you can see how they look. The picture on the right show you something in the border. So there is something I'm showing a borderline, and the one downstairs is showing the right pocket. So I had an exhibition in the right pocket. Mm-hmm. And then an art police. So that was the lady, for example, in Scotland. She was in charge to see if people had access to my room. So they needed a visa. It's a bit the idea of undressing.
Sorry, Thierry, how was it possible to get a visa?
You had to fill up a form. I didn't put that in this presentation, but to get a visa, you have to show it was to question your knowledge about my oeuvre, and you know, to trust you to see everything. You had to show some kind of understanding of my oeuvre. Mm-hmm. If the questionnaire show you wanted just to see my exhibition to make fun of me or to discredit me, or you had no interest in that kind of art because you hate this kind of artist, you will not access. So yeah, it was a kind of trust. I was asking about trust and about people motivation to see the show. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can see it now when you give your opinion on public space, a lot of discreditation comes. So you have to take care. So people don't say so much now because they're afraid to be judged all the time. So I will give visa, and it was in the real passport. I was giving visa and people passport. So some people still have a visa. I mean, they kept the passport. So I met a lady from Norway. She still has a passport with a visa, and the visa give you access to different space. I had different exhibition with that concept, and I still do it more or less this. Because I think it's important to have different level of showing what you show. You cannot show everything to everybody. So this is a way it was installed in 2002 in the Kunst Museum in Denmark. You could see that there is, I don't know, 15 codes here. And it's almost a retrospective because every code is one exhibition, and they have all different thematic, different subject. And when I have 15 of them, it's like I have 15 exhibitions. So, mm-hmm. So the whole set was basically my retrospective in 2002. I'm very obsessed by this idea of retrospective. The goal is to, and I'm doing that now with a book, is how can an artist overview the whole thing and do one piece. So this is an example of one piece. I have, I don't remember all the story of them, but I have one with self-portrait, for example, I can see now. I have one about Duchamp as well, and so on. And you can see, so this exhibition was done then, and then it's still, now we are many years later, like we are 2 years ago, so it's 30 years later. I still do this moving exhibition, the type Vagabond. Here I don't use a coat, but then I will use a tent. So I'm in a public space, and then I express with a tent. So I will have a text on a special subject. Here is the context of Venice Biennale, which I question the curator's statement of that year, because the curator says that art is the last bastion for uprise, and I had a question if it was really true. So I will put it in a context, and then I will work with those tents in Venice, asking, are Biennale dangerous? Because maybe Biennale create apathy. They don't wake up people. On the opposite, they make people sleep and not asking themselves some questions. So I will have this artwork around me and then organize different events. So here we will speak about Karl Marx in the street of the Communist Party. This will be in Kassel. I will ask in front of the weapon industry. The next documentary should be curated by a tank. So I will have this vagabond in a public space in London. I wake up and I wonder if the world is still around. This is what we have every morning. Does everything has exploded, or everybody died of corona? Oh, and then I want to show that again, to show this idea of kind of retrospective. That's the exhibition we had in Hannover at the Sprengel Museum in 2002, where I tried to show almost like a retrospective, almost everything. So I was connecting art on the t-shirt. So at some point I was also using t-shirts, not only raincoats. You can see there is t-shirt of my kids. Also there were exhibition platform, and also the television, the newspaper. So all was interconnected, interlinked. And this will be the same now with the exhibition I had in Villa Stuck, in Museum Villa Stuck in Munich. In one room, I tried to show most of the critical run. So that way, I tried to have a round room, which show almost everything in one go.
But Thierry, what is a critical run? We haven't spoke about your formats really from this point of content. We speak a lot about form, but
yeah,
what is the topic?
The format, it will come when we speak about the extractor in Hannover.
I don't like to disturb you.
No, it's okay. No, it's okay. I will include everything, hopefully. This is a moving exhibition, the tip, we are still in the manifest. This is a moving exhibition, the tip offensive. I'm not invited, but I still like to express. So this is Palais Tokyo, when it was a museum space, with the director Robert Delpire, that is not so happy about my exhibition, non-invited exhibition, and asked me to leave the place. So I will do different shows in exhibition space where I'm not invited. So the blue helmet at the Musée d'Art Moderne de Paris, I'm not invited, but then I display them on the floor, my cutting of the day. I will come with a clock that rings a certain moment, and then I will do an exhibition. I will change the exhibition, so I have people walking around, and then I change what they have in their bag.
But so this is from the 80s, late 80s, right? It's very early.
Yeah. I mean, the idea is to show a bit how this manifest work in the 80s and how this manifest works now.
Okay.
So in the 80s, I was doing these offensive things in the way I will express. It's not comfortable because I'm not invited. And then I will do this show in the 80s, yes. This is 89, no, 88. So you see, I will appear in different art space and then do exhibition, or I call people by radio, then I have exhibition on 30 people coming and have exhibition in their back and do all kind of, let's say it's also a photo exhibition. I have a frame here in places non-invite. Later on, so for example, at Pompidou Center, I will do exhibition like that where people come with family picture. You asked me about private, public. Here I was asking to participant to bring family picture of themselves and exhibit them in a public space. So
and you play with the idea of Burger King?
Yeah, it was a Burger King. It was to make a kind of not a joke, but you know, the idea is that everybody can be a king if you eat a burger. So the stupidity of the, you know, everybody can be famous or everybody can be a king, or a bit this Andy Warhol thinks that basically we can all be king of something. So I found it strange that you can elevate yourself as a king just by eating a burger. So I wanted to play on this idea of Burger King. It was a period, and then I will paint this kind of like I paint now on the tent. I will paint this kind of slogan: normal people can exhibit at the Pompidou Center. It's written because by being part of my show, you could become famous at Pompidou Center, being part of the museum program without being really invited. So my wife on the right is wearing picture of herself. So it was a bit like Facebook, where you choose a profile picture of yourself and then you show it to the world in a public moment. So we will just go around, and I will tape. Also, I have a tape recorder. I will make a sound work out of it after. So that's what is left out of them. It's these small text, and then I will say that with my big statement that then family picture are better, because I was coming from a where I did too much photo, which I call photo. It's this nice photo slide picture I will take with a flash and nice color. And then at the end, you know, I got a bit tired of this photo, and then basically family picture will be the highest photo I could think of. So I will promote the idea that family picture is like fantastic. So that was how I will do through the show. It was almost campaigning. We are still in the offensive, moving exhibition offensive. This is many years later. This is 2015. Then I will place a tent in Documentaire in the kind of art space of the art event, and then the organizer will not be so happy, so they will remove it after 3 weeks. But it started the Occupy movement anyway, that kind of creates some waves into the whole system. Now they do marble tent. Let's say, I mean, I still follow the manifest. The manifest is like, I don't have a space to exhibit, then I ask the space to somebody else. So here we are in 89, I don't have a space to exhibit, so I ask hospitality to the organizer of this exhibition in Denmark, and then they give me space, so I organize a picnic, and also I do an exhibition. I like this idea to ask space or give space. Emergency room is the format where I give space. Sometimes I need space, sometimes I give. For example, here we are in Venice Biennale. I work for the Maldives Pavilion, and then Maldives Pavilion will disappear soon underwater. The whole population, 200,000 people, will not know where to go. So we will be in situations where the UN has no idea what to do with this population. So to mark that question, I will ask different state, nation, what they think about welcoming another nation. So, for example, I will ask the question to the organizer of the Israel Pavilion in Venice: can a nation welcome another nation? This is part of the Biennale's format. So this make me, let's say, ask to some people, and also put a statement in a certain context. Now you can see that this question can be relevant some years later or some years before or then. So this sometimes I have a space, I give the space. So here I have a manifesta. I give my space to artists from Northern Africa. Here I call it a moving exhibition, the type convivial. Here I have a museum show. I give my space to real immigrant. So it's like the space is precious stuff, and it cannot only be controlled by a certain number of people. It's good if artists kind of give to each other space when they need it. Here we are in Sprengel Museum. the space I was giving was to people that would send me things that were censored on internet. So the museum could show what was censored on internet, so they could send something. The first participant was there, 2 people. Emergency room. Here we are, emergency room. This is, let's say, my most important project. But it's still part of the manifest, because what is saying, the old manifest is coming there. There is an exhibition space. So I have asked a museum or institution, sometimes a gallery, to accept that I build my emergency room. So this emergency room is a round room where artists can come every day and exhibit. So there is a clock, and at 12:30, the exhibition change every day. So it's a room which encourage artists to exhibit about what is an emergency now. So let's say, for example, if people want to express about how xenophobia is growing in Denmark, it's going super fast. Politicians say the worst things every day, and the media follow up. So maybe artists want to express about that. So they invite, I give them a space where they can do it every day. At the same time, it happens. So the artists hear something, the artists feel something, the artists react to something, and they create an artwork that go in this room every day. It's open at 12:30, and it changes every day. It's a community of artists that join. Now there is about 400 artists part of this project. We can see on the door, it's written, the exhibition change every day at 12:30. The exhibition comment on today's politics. The exhibition is unpredictable. The exhibition is alive.
This story was in PS1 in New York, yes? And
it was in PS1. This picture is from Paris. And
okay.
You know, as a photograph curator, on the left is French Gouski, is called Stéphane Couturier. He's our fantastic photographer, participating. So now I have you around. It's interesting that a photograph like Couturier, which is the top of the precision photographer, making amazing picture and researching, participate in such a project, because then he has to create an artwork in the now. So that project was in 10 places in the world, and among one of them was the PS1. The idea of this was to make a format. The idea of a format is that once you have make a recipe or kind of model, a concept, you can repeat it. So the idea of a format to repeat it, it's because art, to be in the global world, you have to find a way to globalize your art. So let's say this concept, I can have an emergency room in 20 countries at the same time and be in one place. So by a format, you can multiplicate the way to exhibit. So you can respond better on the emergency. My goal is to respond on emergencies because I think we have a bunch of things to solve together, as not as activists, but sometimes I say I'm not an activist, I'm a father. Being a father, I have a certain number of issues to respond to. And I think my colleagues, also my colleague artists and the art world in general, so I create this format where the emergency could be discussed and art could be done every day. So the artwork come closer to the now. The artwork can also, let's say, maybe have an impact, because if I take an example, the English protested about the government going to war in Libya at some point. The nation was against war, bombing Libya. So the English government didn't bomb Libya. So it is possible, less and less, but that public opinion can change some laws, can stop some wars, can change things. So I try to have the artists be part of this very fast public opinion in order to have an impact in things that go too fast without criticality. So critical run that you saw, we will see some picture of critical run. I mean, here the exhibition change every day. You can see artists, and then there is a debate after. So not only there is artwork, for example, there is a debate. This format was also done in Hanoi in Vietnam, which is interesting. It's different than what we can see in other part. The room is still round, everything is the same format. But here you have a Danish artist debating with an older Vietnamese citizen. So there is a really a dialogue is done. The artist has shown an artwork, and this artwork trigger a debate.
And the artists, they can bring everything. They can bring videos, they can bring paintings, photography, whatever they like, a text.
Yes, and the idea is because the rules is that the artwork has to express about the emergency with the last update of the emergency.
Okay.
So that's the main rule. After, the medium is changing, and also it pushes artists to experiment. Because if an artist is an oil painter, or what I was showing, Stéphane Couturier, working with big prints and stuff, what does an artist like that do in such conditions? So maybe they will use a telephone, the fax machine. So this gives birth to experiment. So it creates a new kind of aesthetic you don't see elsewhere, because the experiments comes as solution. What is the most important is to express, and expression then has to find a new form. After all the artwork are collected in the Delhi Museum, so there is a possibility to study everything that has been produced the last 15 years in emergency room. There is a collection of most of the artwork ever done.
Thierry, we don't have so many time now anymore. It would be good. I don't know what you have now in your program, but I really would like to hear something. I really would like to hear something about the project you made in Göteborg or in Stockholm, where it was, where you installed
in Oslo.
space.
So we go direct to Oslo. Yeah. So now I'm going to find. I don't have a notion of time. I will go direct to Oslo now. One of the practice I do is the extraction. So basically, I create a platform. I create some rules or some choreography, some kind of, I call them format instead of concept. I will tell you why. And then things happen in this format. They happen basically what is important every day, because it's the idea to be close to the now is super important. In emergency room, it's professional artists that participate every day. Now I'm going to show you a format called Extractor in Oslo, in Norway. This project started 2 years ago and has still 3 years to go. So it's a 5 years project. It's important. The length for me is important also because it also helps for the seriousness of the project. People will think that maybe what I do are intervention or happening or with a short time limit, but they are built for long-term collecting or thinking. Here, it's called the Anatomy of Prejudice. It's a room which is going to try to find out how does prejudice appear. Why do people become xenophobe? Why do they become racist? What's happened? So it's like a medical project, because many of my projects have medical names. I study some medicine, so I use names like emergency room, awareness muscle, anatomy. In this room, you can see from the outside, it's at the very beginning. There is a machine where you can scan your telephone. So it's called the extractor machine. It's a sculpture. Here you can scan your telephone. On this telephone, participants, which are very often schools, the museum is in a ethnic part of the city. There is a lot of foreigners, but a lot of Norwegian as well coming. They scan their phone and they can, what is asked is, can you find trace of xenophobia in your phone? Let's say, in the phone, you have a mixture of the private and the public. The private mixed with the public, your mother telling you, don't go in this place in Hannover, it's dangerous. Maybe your mother wants to say, this place is dangerous because there is foreigners. So xenophobia carry in an SMS, in a Snapchat, carries in an email, in a picture. but it can be also a newspaper with a headline. It can be archived. You have access to Google. You have access to everything from this phone. So I asked this participant to find a picture where there is trace of xenophobia. This picture, this interface of the phone, they can scan it and take a picture with a machine, and then it exhibits the same day. I don't remember what the colleague showed something, but obviously this girl is pretty shocked about what has been found. That way, I kind of, like a magnet, I kind of absorb all trace of xenophobia that appear in telephones. And in telephones, you get everything. And it appears the same day. For example, if there is a racist campaign that day, for example, you can see, I see on the left, it's a politician that says some really dirty things that day. And then the participant scans that picture, and you can see a bit of the headline of the speech. And then the participant also wrote what was shocking in that discovery. So that way, I'm like a fisherman. You can see there is fisher net. I kind of attract all these traces of xenophobia. And after some days, there is 30 people, 40 people, 50 people participating. So after a period of 5 years, I have an enormous data of how xenophobia circulate in a country like Norway. Norway has also been known for some kind of racial crime and racial terrorism. It's a mixture. There is also a lot of more immigrants than in Denmark, for example. So it's a very interesting country to study. How did this xenophobia circulate? So day by day, you can see a story, but at the end, I will get a monument of all that data. So
it's a kind of research project, but people they also debate. Yeah, they have talks to each other, and
yes, they can talk to each other. They can select document. It's called the jungles. When they're in the middle, they can select a picture, a page, and debate about them, and they can, if they are shocked, not shocked. And on an academic level, some people study what is collected. So you can also make statistics about how old are the people, what shocks them the most. For example, I discovered that they are more prejudiced about poor people than, for example, you will find about Islam people. So people think that being poor, it's really something that they don't like. They hate poor people. I didn't know that before. I thought that people will say, okay, we don't like this, we don't like French, we don't like Arab. But poor people was the worst to their eyes. So you can make statistic. You can say that this appear. You can study a lot of things. And because the project is on many years, it also allows to study a lot. We can also see, and then there is a date also. It's date, and we know which kind of people, how old are the people that participate. You can also see that, let's say, if I was doing photo, I could also make a huge print out of that picture and blow it up as a C print, nice frame. So every of this document can also be blown up as a unique picture. Now it's hanging in a plastic. So you can take those documents on different levels. But at the end, it become a monument. It become a monument. This is old men and young girls. Story about young men and young girls, and you can see it. I call it the jungle because the idea is that everything get mixed in a kind of wild way, and also it's also a scary place to be inside when you see what's going on. It's a bit scary. This is a story about cuckoo clans, and I mean, now it was closed because of Corona, but it will continue again for 3 years. So you can see this is a
great project. I really like it very much. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's a format. which means that it can be done other place, maybe with other subject. But this idea of xenophobia is interesting. Another subject, another place, will be other participants. So the savoir-faire, it's like a lab, can be developed differently. In 2011, I was invited by the Sprengel Museum for the exhibition Photography Calling, which was a group show asking the question, I mean, giving the statement, photography calling, but calling for what? Calling, is that photography calling, is that a kind of cry you are calling? Maybe photography was calling for help. Photography was calling because photography in institution like museum is in a super danger. So I was thinking, calling, what can I do? Photography is calling. What is the solution of photography now in the museum at the age of social media, where social media basically are storing the whole fight of the whole world everywhere, every second. So how can a museum compete with that? Or can they compete with that? Because social media also owns the copyright of everyone. So they build huge, plus they have data to classify everything. And so they can make enormous museum with what they own. So I participated in this project with one of the format I call Extractor, which was reproduced later in Oslo in a different way with mobile phone. Now you see the catalog of the exhibition where I had some page to explain. We start with the manifest. In Zero Day in 1990, I was asking people to participate in exhibition by bringing family picture of themselves. And then I had a border. They have to participate to come in, and they have to give me the picture after. So I wanted to show that the concept of Facebook, basically, I created the concept of Facebook in 1990. The concept was simple. You are an exhibitionist, you bring a picture of yourself that you like, it's a portrait. You have a login, which is a border. You can only access Facebook if you're a member of Facebook. And then you make it visible into different platforms. And at the end, when people are finished with this showing themselves, I will collect, like Facebook do, I will collect their family photos, their status, because people were asked also to write a small story. So it was like Facebook, you have a picture, and then you make a small story. Then I was doing that in 1990. So I think I create some kind of the same concept than Facebook, playing on this exhibitionist, also because the terminology in the manifest, they were called friends. People participating were called friends, like Facebook, and the place where they were exhibiting was called the wall, like Facebook. So even the words are similar. What could I do 30 years later when Facebook became so big, and I still want to be avant-garde and find some kind of vision for the future? How to answer to that? My answer was to have, with the support from the Sprengel Museum, I will do a different operation. One of them will be in Venice. Some people working in the team will have a computer like you see, transportable computer like on a table, and we will approach different people and ask for their memory card. So you can see you have a guy on the top, he's giving his memory card to the extractor. I was asking to people, do you have any picture? They say, yeah, I do. Can I get them? And they say, no. I mean, then we insist. Then we say, okay, can you give your memory card and then give your copyright with your memory card? People will hesitate, but some of them will do it. So that way we will get the whole set of picture, which means compared to Facebook, we don't get one selected picture, we get the whole row of picture. Some people have 3,000 pictures in their memory card of their telephones. So we will get the whole thing without editing. Facebook cannot get that. Facebook gets selection. And then we will get the whole album in high resolution. When you upload on Facebook, people upload very often in low resolution. So we get that with the copyright of the owner. That way, I kind of propose to the museum a way to get a better collection than Facebook, get full all the card and full format. And then it's a question to send extractor all over. Here they were in Venice, but later we will do also in Hannover, go to different, where do you send them? So this was after a football match. We will get what people have in their cameras. This will be around the lake with some Turkish immigrants. This will be at the Volkswagen Museum. What do people have? And the extractor will be a kind of persona, like Fellini creates a kind of what is a paparazzi. Fellini creates a paparazzi as a character. I try to create the extractor as a kind of photographic character of the modern time.
I have to say, I was very surprised because at the beginning I thought it's okay, it's a kind of provocation, but nobody will give his memory card, yes? And nobody will give this copyright, but many people have done this. I was surprised about the result.
I mean, it's a question of getting with people, to that people trust you, basically, and then people are interested also to show their life. I mean, somehow, I mean, why do people post on Facebook and they lose a copyright? Because they say they want their life to be seen. They want someone else to be seen. So, and also, I will also say it's an act of generosity. And we see it on that picture. It's a gift from hand to hand. It's not Chapel 16. It's not, it's not a painting from Chapel 16, but there is a gift. A guy is giving to the extractor. So human to human can give things. It's not Facebook that steals them. It's the guys that give it with a smile. So it's a generous gesture. This is why I transformed that picture into painting, because it was it's almost a religious act, I will say, this giving to each other. And actually, I kind of focus later on that act, which I found basically touching and beautiful, that people open up. Openness is always a gift, that people open up instead of hiding themselves. They open up and they give this gesture, and then this is why I have this series of painting. It was also in the exhibition. The extractor can also go to conflict zones, so I will also do it in Athens, where people were having riots. 60,000 people were fighting in Athens those days. So I will also get material in conflict zone. We could send people in Gaza today to extract what is taken. Unfortunately, people that want to misuse those pictures will steal that format.
But I have to say that to collect these images is one step. The second step is to collect or to produce a kind of order to be able to work with the material or to use this as a kind of argue or so, as a kind of argument. How do you handle all these materials then?
I mean, I didn't have the structure. The idea will be to have a real office. When we did it at the museum, we had a room for it. So it was a space where people could access the hard disk. I show you a picture. Yes. So voila. So it was where the space where people could see the pictures through a hard disk. Only people participating could access the hard disk. The project didn't go that far. I mean, we just, I create the scenario, the proposition, the vision. We collect several thousand of pictures. I don't know, maybe 40,000 pictures, and then they are still on a hard disk. After we will need a team of people, a team of 10 people that tag the picture. You could tag the picture. It's very easy. They're digital. About you can have love, you can have war, you can have couples. Basically, I think you tag them. You could also make film out of the picture. So, for example, like I said, because you get the whole series. So, if somebody, let's say, take 50 pictures somewhere, then you make a film. You can make a film out of pictures. It differs. You can also blow them up and make sea prints and nice glass and make art objects. It's a whole project.
But that's not your main interest, or? making
it is, but I don't have time and I don't have the resources. If the Sprengel Museum pay me with a team of 10 people, we organize it, you know, in an office. We organize it and we dispatch it, and we have the exhibition touring around, and then it can be also a website or a TV program, you know. But I need resource, you know, and if it's based, this is a non-commercial project somehow. So if I have some propaganda newspaper behind me, it could happen. But
we had a second project, Thierry, and this was a bit more specific on another way, because you asked people to categorize their own images, the people from the police. Yes. Yeah,
that's true. I mean, in the same way I do with emergency room, where I ask professional artists to express about emergency, I thought it was interesting to ask different people and artists what is an emergency. So we were in contact with the police on Hest, Vierde Police, and the Parkfrau.
Wie heißen die? Politessen hieß das mal. Also die Damen, die Parkplätze in der Stadt überwachen.
Yeah, so they were approached because these profession are in contact with a lot of things. They see a lot of things, and they all carry telephones. So the idea was to every day they will come at 12 o'clock, like artists do in the emergency room, and every day they will classify what they have in their phone. So my question was, what is an emergency? What is private? And what is work? So, and what is in the middle? So, for example, what is private can become work. You know, for example, maybe they see something dramatic of that. So that way they have to consider. It's also because more and more our life are melting. The police has a private life and has this police phone at home, and the home phone and police, you know, everything is melting. And then I ask this kind of classification because things get connected. And again, what was an emergency? So this lady found an emergency. I have to say, so this is an extractor project. I build a platform where they stand. It's not an emergency room, but it's a platform like a sculpture, and then they classified. My artwork is to organize this, but then everything is filmed. So what they say is filmed, and what they say the artwork becomes a film of what did they say, you know. So like the critical run, people run debate, but then the artwork is the debate after the film is edited. So you can show a film of the critical run. Like here, we could show what did she say. You know, it's a very interesting picture now. But what did she say? So this is the next step, is to do the film. I didn't make the film yet because it's again a question of team and structure. But it was interesting. We did that for about 10 days, and also it was also possible to debate for them. So they were not only showing; they could talk to each other and I mean negotiate or debate.
For me, it was really a very interesting experience because people, yes, how they handle, they categorize this. It was very interesting for me, and it was really a process, a debate between all of us. Yes.
Yeah, I think for you also, because you have always been interesting also about these categories, private, public. So here we ask the question of where they cross each other. Yes. So this has been your, and also the technology is mobile phone. So let's say we are in the same field than before, but then it's the use of the mobile phone. And then I would say that it was an important statement. So it's that social media create repression and not revolution. I say that like then in 2011, but that thing is now common knowledge. So it's just to say that sometimes it's good to be avant-garde and say things before. Also, we took the chance to make some slow dance debate and also some critical run, some critical run. And I want to mention that this run was about can we trust photography, which is a super important debate now. can we trust photography as evidence? Because now at the age of this technology, deep fake, and coming elections, the idea of making that we cannot trust any image is actual debate, you know.
So a critical run is a run, but you give you communicate a topic, a question in advance, yes. So people have to debate during their running.
Yeah, I mean, this instead of sitting in a very comfortable place, we go and run. Run is a metaphor of the emergency. We run because we run to save, but we run to escape. Basically, we cannot stand cool and slow, and we have also to move quite fast. The topic was, can we trust photography as evidence? Because there were people working with photography as policemen and parking controller. So the subject was interesting to ask the police if they trust photography as evidence, because it's an important subject. But this subject is now all over. Can we trust photography as evidence? So then things are taped. You see there is many cameras in the run. And the film, for example, this film was shown in Villastug in the exhibition. It became a film. So what they say is important. I don't make them run to have to make something funny. I make them run because they say interesting things. This is why we film it, and this is why there is a film of the run after. So if the film exists, can be seen. It's 3 or 4 minutes.
Thanks, Thierry. A lot of information.
Yeah.
Yes.
Too many?
Not too many. So, hello. Now we are back in real time. It was really a lot of information.
Is it?
Yes. And it would be nice if we now have a little moment. Also, I hope nobody is too tired now, to have some questions. And maybe you would like to use your microphone now and I have to check how I can.
But the chat has some written questions.
Yes, we have some written questions, but maybe people like to speak now and to show their faces, because we are not so many people, so maybe it could be possible. I think it's possible now to start with your microphone. Okay, maybe you give a signal if you like to have a question. Karina, you wrote a question if you are still there.
Yeah, I did. Well, it's a very fundamental question. I don't know if it's an easy start. First, thank you very much for, I'm happy to remember the thing you did at the Sprengel Museum. Yeah, my question was a little bit regarding the first things you did in the public space. So what is the advantage of doing it as an artist instead of being political active as a, general citizen? And what is the function of art for you? I mean, it's very fundamental, but I would really like to know what you're saying about it. Thank you.
When the word activist come, I have several answers. The first one is I'm not an activist. I'm a father. So let's say as a father or any citizen, if things go wrong where you live, or if things go wrong where you don't live, but you have a kind of responsibility of caring about the environment. So to be interested, let's say if xenophobia is growing too fast, you cannot just ignore it. So artists are like normal people, they can be fathers, they can be also afraid that kids have problems. So in the future, also with ecology, so it's a very normal thing to be an activist. So I will not consider myself as an activist. And then the idea of public space is that, let's say, every space has to be taken somehow. If, let's say, if I took again the example of xenophobia, if you spot some kind of alarms, then you have to shout in all platforms. So you can make an exhibition in the museum, but you can also have your things in the street, or you can have your things in the media. So it's what I call réquisitionner. Everything has to be taken to send the alarms. So this is, yes.
Thank you.
Anja, do you have a question too? Would you like to speak now, or to show your face, whatever you like?
I'm sorry, I cannot show my face, but I wrote the question. I'm interested why the interaction with ordinary people is so interesting for him. That's what I would like to know.
I'm interested with everybody. So like I say, the Emerson's room is inviting professional artists. So it's the art sphere, the art milieu. Or if I go to
not the emergency room, the other art of you that you're doing in public space and involving.
Yeah, but it's because everywhere, everybody is interesting. So let's say what the police is saying is as interesting as the school people in Oslo. So basically, it's this idea of extractor. So you get audience to say things, and it's like the democracy. You give a platform to everybody, and in subject like detecting dysfunctions, everybody can bring something very important. They can spot things that maybe people don't see. Maybe the kids in the school from Oslo, when they're 15, they have seen some campaign in the bus, or they have seen things that grown-up didn't see. So it's good to ask them what did they spot. So it's just
but I'm also interesting in the way of elitary art and how you are not so elitary in your speech of art, I would say, from my opinion, and that's what I really like on your work. And that's why I'm asking myself, how far can the interaction go with normal, ordinary people, things like that?
It can go very far. It depends on the. This is why I use some let's say formats, some tricks. When people run, they say different things. When they dance, they say different things. I create a kind of format which can almost like a game. Where people can give, like the fitness I had in Munich, by doing fitness, people will open up. So my job is to make some format where people open up, but everyone can open up. So that's what I will try.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, if there's no any other question, I think it was a long talk and there's a lot of information. And if people like to contact you to have their special questions, you can write you. There's a website. And many thanks, Thierry. Thanks, Karina. Susanna, you like to say something by yourself?
Yes, of course. Hold on. Hold on. Könnt ihr mich schon hören? Nee.
Ja, doch.
Ah, super. Yeah, I just actually phrased that question, but I was wondering, I mean, it was definitely really, really interesting. I really liked like the whole retrospective almost of your work, which I had not so much, I didn't know so much about your work. So that's why it was really, really great to see this today. And I was just wondering, because do you have the feeling that the interactions of the audiences in the 80s and the 90s was more active? Do you feel that the people or your audience these days is the same active, or do you feel that it's more children or kids that, you know, are activating in your work?
When I speak about failure, I will say if they are not active, this is my problem. This is my failure. So to activate the public, it's let's say we can say that the public may be more sleepy now than before. I will use the word apathy. I like very much to use this word. People can be more apathic because the technique to make them sleep are bigger. The publicity, the social media, the whole list. Why do people sleep or don't fight or don't protest for things? It can be worse, but the thing is that then my job is to find better ways to wake them up. So let's say if people are more sleepy, this is then my failure.
I have to say, since I know you work with a really high level of energy, and I'm very surprised every time that you're not tired. You get the next round, yes, and the next start.
I'm done.
Yes, and I think it has to do also with your family situation. So it's not too private now to say this, because you speak about private and public, but regards to your wife.
Yes, it's good for the energy. Yeah, I'm very lucky with, but the energy is very important in those projects. Yeah, but you get also energy. It takes energy to start the project, but for example, let's say with the police in Hannover, I mean, it was difficult to get it started, but then they were coming every day, and then the energy was building up. So at the end, it circulates by itself. So and it gives energy. So this ping pong with energy is a method, yeah. But you need to get it started, yeah.
Tiana, you like to ask something? I think your microphone is open.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good.
We wait for your question.
Okay, okay, sorry. I was just, I got lost on my screen. Well, thanks for organizing the presentation, Inka. Well, I have been working with Thierry, so I know some of these works quite well. And I'm of course quite interested in what Thierry was mentioning in the beginning, this retrospective book that is somehow going to not only document but also reflect on his praxis. And I guess that this presentation was following maybe a pattern that the book also will follow. I don't know, but it just made me think about something. You were now mentioning the energy, which is the one of the most fantastic things about Thierry. But also, I think that when it comes to the artistic praxis, so the energy that goes, it is the engine for the artistic praxis, not only the energy that is activating the others. I think that for Thierry, it is very characteristic that he has the ability to change between two different gazes, or like optics, you know. So he has the capacity, I think it's my opinion, to be very specific about things like being in the now, to use his vocabulary, and at the same time to get on distance and actually interconnect these nows into some kind of logic or format, or I don't know how we should name it exactly, but this is connected to this retrospective book. So my question would be just some reflections, and maybe you haven't decided yet on the structure of the book, but how can you connect all these projects which are very much insisting on being in the now, each of them very specific and precise, and then how to connect them into something that is another story or another layer. So are they going to be like small beads on a string, like independent from each other but connected, or are they going to be put together in another kind of connection which is developing up or down, or I don't know. So this was a kind of question, if we could hear some of your reflections about that. And Susanna was asking about some aspects of the history, and that is one of the things that might appear in this kind of gathering of your praxis, because we might suddenly see some differences between the nows then in the 80s, 90s, and now, or maybe the way we treat these nows. So, and another thing that might also appear in that retrospective is the cultural differences, because you have been telling us about your traveling and activities and your projects in different countries and places. So it's also interesting maybe that this retrospective will shed light on different cultural contexts that if we look at them individually, we don't see. So the difference between this going individual, specific, individual in each of the projects is sitting in the now and lifting the gaze on some kind of overall perspective, which you will have to do now that you're creating a book. This dynamic and shift.
I think this is a big job, yes, to organize this book in a way that there are all these levels really present, and you don't get totally lost in the archive, because the archive is enormous. Yes.
Yeah. It is.
We have to say, to be honest, this talk was one of the steps to think about how to organize the material. Yes.
Yeah, it's a nightmare to organize, but to answer this, the question about the idea of working in the now and the book, let's say to analyze the past, and I speak about failure or what happened or not failure. It's possible to think what to do next. So let's say I see the book like if you overview the whole thing, then you can have a kind of picture of what has been done or not done or badly done. And then the idea is that this this retrospective transform in a proposition. So the knowledge of these 40 or 50 years will transform in a new proposition, a proposition which will be in the now when the book come out, but also like a new manifest that can transform into what to do next, what is the future, what are the proposition, what are the strategy. Like I say, we don't need dreams, we need strategy. So what is how to act from now? I show that with the Sprengel, for example. I say I created Facebook or something. So I show some methods from the 80s, and then 30 years after, I make a new method with extractor. So how can you what can you do now, and what can you do tomorrow? So let's say to the book has to let's say to see the past from above, and from this above to transform it to a proposition. So let's say it's almost, I can say almost a testament or something. So it's not only a grave, but he has to be a testament of what to do, maybe some recipe, maybe people will get some recipes they can use in 10 years. So yeah, so this is a question of energy, but I have a hard time to work on this project. It's very difficult. Yeah.
Good luck. Thank you very much, Thierry.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for your questions.
Thank you, Inka, and the museum. So.